So there I was getting pitched to spend $60,000 on a consultant who would basically be micromanaging me and making sure I made phone calls to my friends to ask them for money. It felt totally weird and totally foreign to me. My name is Dave Kerpen, and I am the candidate.
Making the right hiring or rental decision isn't just important, it's essential. At AccuData, they provide fast, accurate, and compliant background screening services that help businesses, landlords, and property managers make informed choices with confidence. From criminal background checks to employment verification and credit reports, their comprehensive screenings ensure you hire and lease with peace of mind. And with their easy to use client portal, managing background checks has never been simpler. Trust the experts who put accuracy, compliance, and customer service first. Visit accudataholdings.com today and start screening smarter.
Now's as good a time as any to introduce you, Jess, because I think people should know who you are. So Jess is my producer. Jess is my producer and new friend. She's been a mentee of my wife, Carrie's. And I was just so excited when I met you, Jess, because not only are you a great podcaster and expert on podcasting, helping your clients build podcasts, but you happen to be an active person in politics and an interested party in politics. And so I was just so excited when I pitched you the idea of doing the candidate podcast that you were as enthusiastic as you were and willing to be my co-pilot on this thing. So I'm sorry we didn't introduce you yet, but Jess, meet everyone. Everyone meet Jess, my amazing producer and partner and on the candidate podcast. So welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Dave. And like I said to you during that call, I think that this is an important podcast to be out in the world. I think that there's a lot of people who are just like you, who are scared to get into politics and they don't know what they don't know. And so this is really going to be peeling back the curtain so that they can understand what it takes. So honored to be here with you, honored to be really diving into local politics because the only way we can affect change is really by going local. All right, Dave, let's take a step back. What are you talking about? What's going on here?
Yeah. So last time we talked about like getting the Democratic support and jumping into this race for town supervisor. And so I guess one of the first steps here that's typical is like hiring consultants. And there are people that become part of my team and that help me hopefully win the race. And there's all these different categories of consultants, and it's definitely super overwhelming, also scary. But somebody from the Democratic Party, a leader in the Democratic Party in Long Island, essentially set me up on all these calls to vet potential consultants. And I would say there's 3 categories of consultants, or actually 4 categories of consultants, if you can believe it. There's like a general consultant that's like the campaign manager. There's a digital marketing consultant, it's weird for me since I literally built and sold one of the first social media marketing agencies. So I don't know, paying somebody to help me run Facebook ads feels super weird, but we can get to that in a minute. There's a direct mail consultant, which is really foreign to me, but really interesting because I do think that people, especially seniors, still respond to direct mail. So there is probably an important place for direct mail in any political campaign. And then there's the fundraising consultant that I mentioned at the top of the show. So there are these 4 categories of consultants, and I basically had two or so calls set up with each category. And I'm vetting these people and having to make really important decisions really early on. Before I even had any money yet, I haven't even started fundraising, but I'm essentially making a commitment to potentially pay these people a really significant amount of money to help on my campaign. And, while I appreciated all the interest and potential support, I'm also, trying to be really careful. If I'm going to take on a job where I have a $180 million budget on behalf of 240,000 people, I need to make sure I can show that I'm going to be really smart and deliberate and careful about how I'm spending my donors' money so that when I'm elected, I can spend the town's money really similarly carefully. Like the last thing I want to do is just throw money at consultants that don't know me, that don't know the voters, that don't know my town. So I found myself asking a lot of questions and trying to see through the BS as much as I could. It's funny because I had an agency for 15 years, so I did a lot of pitches. And it wasn't to candidates, it wasn't political. I knew how to make really nice slides and make things look really pretty and cool, but it didn't mean that I was necessarily the best fit. And it didn't, and I also learned the hard way to be less about me and pitching me as an agency and more about understanding who I was talking to. So I paid attention to the questions that they asked me. I paid attention to their previous successes. And my favorite question, Jess, that I always ask employees when I'm hiring, I always ask employees, what's the biggest mistake you've made and what did you learn from it? So I asked all the consultants, tell me about your biggest win. And then I said, tell me about a big loss you had on a campaign and why you lost and what you learned from it. And I was looking for two things. One, the extent to which they would blame others, like the candidate or other vendors, versus take accountability themselves on what went wrong, as well as, even more important, what did they learn from it? Like, how did they learn something? The best people that pitched me, honestly, were people that are coming off big losses, like a string of big losses. But they were forthright about what they learned from it and did a really nice job. And then, by the way, this is crazy. I asked at the end of each call for a reference of somebody that they've worked with. And this particular group, they actually talked to a congresswoman who they helped elect, who proceeded to call me and text me with a raving recommendation for the consultant. So I was like, wow, okay, this is a group that A, learned from their mistakes, and B, knows how to sell, knows how to pitch. I haven't signed a contract yet with them, but like they're in the driver's seat, like totally. That's the kind of partner that I would want to have, somebody that's going to help me really go for it, be out of the box, be ambitious. Like that would be the perfect partner in my mind. And then the fundraising consultant, that was weird, right? I do want to recognize that a lot of politicians and a lot of people in general have a hard time asking for money. It's hard. It can be super awkward. And the reality is, when you ask somebody for money, it does change the dynamic of the relationship, potentially forever. I think that's probably a little dramatic. There will be friends who I ask for money who say no, and that will cause some strain, right? Like there just will be. But you don't know unless you try. And I've been successful in business because I've been okay with taking chances and failing. Like 5 of my companies have failed. I saw a quote the other day, like successful people fail a lot more than unsuccessful people. And it was like, huh. At first, it's counterintuitive. Why do successful people fail a lot more than unsuccessful people? But the reason is that unsuccessful people don't take the chances. And successful people take a lot of chances and fail, but eventually it gets to be, you get to the finish line. And it's like that with fundraising. I have been told for this race, we need to raise at least $1 million. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's real money. Well, it's kind of weird because, I have to raise it before election day, right? But a lot of these consultants get paid on like later, like they'll start doing the work now because the campaign has no money. So I can't pay them now. So they're betting on the fact that I will be able to raise the money because I guess if I don't raise the money, I can't get paid. So that's a weird aspect of this. But basically, I got to raise $1 million in 8 months. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to ask everyone I know for money. I'm going to ask everyone I know who can afford it to write me a big check. And I'm going to ask like everyone I don't know, my followers on social, to write me a small check. And hopefully it adds up to $1 million. And a lot of people are going to say no, that I asked directly. A lot of people are going to say no that I ask indirectly through email and social, and I'll just never know because I'll know they said no because they won't go to my website. But I'm going to go for it because that's how I roll. And I'll fail a lot, but I'll ultimately succeed because I'm taking all the chances. But back to the consultant, it was really weird for me as a longtime entrepreneur and salesperson to think of paying somebody to essentially hold my hand and make sure I make phone calls every day. It was really foreign. And again, it might, for somebody out there that's like, I want to run for office, but I am terrified of asking my friends for money, that actually might be the perfect fit. So the good news for you all is that there's a lot of these consultants out there that's what they do for a living.
Starting your morning with back-to-back meetings? Dunkin' has been keeping America's leaders moving for generations. Try our new brown sugar cookie cold brew, topped with brown sugar cold foam. Smooth, bold, and perfectly balanced. Pair it with a fresh baked croissant when you need that extra boost. Join DD Perks through the Dunkin' app or at Dunkin.com and start earning rewards on every purchase. The candidate runs on Dunkin'.
I texted a couple of mentors. I was like, so wait, what do they do? And Mark Weprin, a great mentor of mine. He was a state assemblyman for a while in New York. He was like, they manage your call time. I was like, manage call time? Is this boiler room? I'm in a call center? Like, I know how to make phone calls. I definitely don't need somebody managing my call time. Anyway, if you're out there and you want somebody that's helping you pick up the phone and take those chances with friends, with colleagues, with people you know, there's consultants for you. For me, I was kind of like, I got to be honest, this is not what I know that, like the Democrats want me to hire you, but I'm not feeling it. Here's the deal. If you bring me new people that I don't know and you help me fundraise from them, I'll pay you. Like, that makes sense to me as a bit. Like, I'm essentially like, it's like I would hire salespeople and pay them a commission for what they brought in. Obviously, like, if you bring me new people that I never met and I wouldn't ordinarily be calling them, and I can call them and they can write me a check for the campaign, then that's great. That works for me. I'm all in. But if like your plan is to like sit there and make sure I make phone calls every day as like my sales manager, like that's not happening. And I'm not spending my hard earned fundraising dollars on somebody that's just going to manage me like that. Personally, that wasn't for me. So we'll see. We'll see if she comes back to me with a better proposal that's more aligned with what I want to do. We'll see. I think I probably will hire the direct mail consultant who reached out and was really frank about their losses and was ambitious enough to get a congressperson to call me and recommend them. I got to see the fine print on the contract, but that seems like the kind of partner that I would like. And as for the others, I'm not sure yet. The digital marketing one, it's a tough one. I know what I know. I know what I don't know too, and I'm open to hearing for sure that I don't know politics. I don't know voter databases and hitting the right people in the district, in the town with the right message at the right time. That's definitely new to me. But as I look at the overall atmosphere, again, I feel very good about my organic social. I got it pretty well taken care of. And even paid social, I was like one of the first people to do Facebook ads like in 2007. And a lot has changed since. And I haven't personally bought ads in quite a while. So definitely want help. It's just a matter of like how much I pay for that and who I use for that, knowing that's my area of expertise. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so curious, like, how did you find these consultants? How did they come to you?
So this Democratic leader that's been helping me a lot, who's very involved in our town, young guy, he has been involved in politics for a few years, so he knows a lot of the players. So he basically put out, I don't know if it was an RFP because it's all like under the table, but he put out word to a lot of these consulting firms that have worked with candidates. One thing I had no idea about before this whole thing started was that there's all these consultants that work with Democrats and there's all these consultants that work with Republicans, and very rarely, if ever, I don't know, do the consultants that work with Democrats work with Republican candidates and the consultants that work with Republicans work with Democratic candidates. It seems crazy to me, but I guess the ad agency that works with Coke doesn't work with Pepsi.
It's adversarial
It's
from the
adversarial from the
get-go.
get-go, and it just like For local politics, it just like I don't understand. I really truly don't understand why local politics would be so partisan. I don't. I talked to a former town supervisor from North
Yeah.
Hempstead, the loveliest woman, Judy Bosworth. I am certain that she'd be okay with me sharing that. And she was like, I remember a time when she said when she was North town supervisor where it wasn't so partisan. It wasn't like so adversarial. It's really shocking to me how partisan it is, even at the local level, down to the fact that you're either a Democratic consultant or a Republican consultant. Also, to be honest, to be frank, the thought of only being able to work with a Democratic consultant who, by and large, have had loss after loss in the last few years. Again, let's be real. Like the Democrats, like they ain't doing well. They're not. It's just a reality. I'm a lifelong Democrat, but we're not doing well. And so the thought that the only consultants that I can work with are folks that are coming off
Yeah.
a big losing streak here, that's scary too. But nevertheless, these are the people that they put forward. And I think ultimately, like, I am the candidate. I am in charge. I'm the client in this case. And if I don't like anyone, I'll say, I don't like anyone. Find me somebody else. Or here, I'm
Yeah.
doing it myself. I'm going to hire this guy or this woman. So I do feel that agency, to use the other meaning of the word agency, I do feel that sense of control over what I'm doing. But again, if you're listening and you're not used to this, then it can be very intimidating talking to all these consultants. I would just say, know that you're in charge at the end of the day. You make the calls, and there may be people from the party that are trying to swing you and try to convince you and try to get you to work with one consultant or the other, but it's your call, it's your campaign, it's your face, it's your reputation on the line. And so for me, because of all those things, Jess, I'm being super careful. And of course, I'd love to hire a consultant who's going to be at the launch and doing all these things for me ahead of time before they even get paid. That's cool. But at the same time, I'm not signing any contract until I'm really certain that's the right partner, the right partner for me.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And coming from an entrepreneurial background, you talked about the different types of consultants and the work that you've done. I would be so curious to hear how much of this is a gut and how much of this is based off of your past experience as an entrepreneur, as an executive, as a business owner.
Yeah, it's both, and both are, they're interrelated, right? So all my past experience with hiring has given me hopefully a gut that's better. I really believe in hiring slow and firing fast, and that's especially challenging and scary for a campaign because I have all these things I need to do, and there's this tremendous sense of urgency, but I still need to follow that adage and hire slow. And hopefully I'll hire the right person and group. But if I don't, as soon as I realize it, as soon as my gut is telling me you made the wrong call, instead of what a lot of entrepreneurs and very likely politicians too have cognitive dissonance, they want to believe they hired the right people, so they justify to themselves, oh, I do need to keep this person. Oh, I do need to keep this group. I'm going to challenge myself and like really check my gut. I'm going to hire slow and fire fast. If I have gotten the right partner, it's off to the races. Let's go. If I'm not so sure, then I'm going to have to cut bait and move on quickly. And that part is also a little uncomfortable, a little scary. I've got to do the right thing by myself, but by my town, by my donors. Like I've got to do the right thing by my donors. That ultimately feels like most important in this whole thing. And then the other thing I would just say is references are so important. So I'm not hiring anyone without talking to somebody that they've worked with. That's if I talk to somebody they've worked with who won, hopefully, that's a serious vote of confidence in being able to take a chance on somebody versus somebody that has been doing it for a long time but isn't necessarily winning or isn't necessarily good at what they do. Like experience alone does not make for a successful company or person to hire.
So from here, it sounds like the next steps are figure out who you're hiring for your consultants and do this launch. Get you going.
Yep, that's right. We're going to hire the consultants and then we're going to launch in just a little bit here, go public with the campaign, with my new career move, and it's off to the races from there. It's going to be terrifying but absolutely exciting and exhilarating journey, and I can't wait to share it with you, Jess, and with you all.
Ah, well, thank you so much, Dave. everyone's career path is different. Whether you're transitioning into public service or building your professional network, LinkedIn helps you make the right connections. Showcase your experience, discover new opportunities, and join conversations that matter in your industry. With LinkedIn Premium, you get insights about who's viewing your profile and advanced search filters to help find the right people. Start expanding your professional network today at linkedin.com. LinkedIn, connect to opportunity.